Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are wrestling with a question that I think really defines the crypto landscape here in 2025.
Hmm.
Why are privacy coins, and we're going to focus on Zcash specifically, having such a massive resurgence,
Right.
especially when it feels like governments, regulators, surveillance tech, it's all more powerful than ever.
Well, it's the ultimate tension in the digital age, isn't it? I mean, most people who got into crypto way back when, they genuinely believed they were getting anonymous digital cash.
But that was never really true, was it?
Not at all. It was a huge misunderstanding of the technology. Bitcoin is inherently pseudonymous.
And let's just quickly define that for anyone catching up. Pseudonymous just means you have an address, not your name, tied to a transaction.
Exactly. But that address is carved into a permanent public ledger.
And that's the weak point.
That is the vulnerability. Every single transaction you've ever made, every address you've sent money to, it's all publicly available. And with the rise of, advanced blockchain analytics, AI,
They can connect the dots.
they can absolutely connect the dots. And AI can often link that pseudonymous address straight back to your real identity. And suddenly that public record becomes this detailed, unchangeable map of your entire financial life.
Which is a huge vulnerability for individuals.
And a strategic nightmare for corporations.
So if transparency is the inherent weakness of that original system, Zcash or ZEC was designed to be the mathematical fix.
Right. It offers a way to maintain the integrity of the data, the transaction, while guaranteeing true anonymity.
It's all about ensuring financial freedom in a world that is, frankly, tilting toward total digital transparency. So Zcash launched back in 2016. It was built off the Bitcoin code base, but it had this one killer feature.
Optional privacy.
Exactly. You can choose to be transparent, or you can activate these advanced capabilities and fully shield your transaction details.
And the engine that makes all of this possible is a cryptographic system called zero-knowledge proofs.
Okay, that sounds pretty dense. Let's make sure we ground this for everyone listening. Functionally, what is a zero-knowledge proof?
Well, think of it this way. A zero-knowledge proof is a mathematical method that lets you prove, a secret.
Like a password?
Or, in this case, the right to spend a coin, but you can prove it without ever revealing the secret itself. It's the ability to verify without disclosing.
That is genuinely mind-bending. The technical term is zk-SNARKs, which I know is a mouthful. It stands for Zero Knowledge Succinct Non-Interactive Argument of Knowledge.
Her mouthful is right.
But the concept itself, it's revolutionary because it solves that verifiability problem, right?
Precisely. In the context of Zcash, you can prove a transaction is mathematically valid. You can prove the sender had enough funds that it follows all the rules.
All without revealing the three most critical pieces of information.
The sender, the recipient, and the amount. All completely hidden.
Our sources use a really great analogy for this. Imagine you need to prove to a bouncer you're over 21.
Okay.
Instead of showing your ID, which reveals your name, your address, your exact birthday,
Yep.
you use a special box. You put your ID in, and the box just lights up green if you're over 21.
So the guard verifies the proof, the green light, without ever learning any of your personal data.
Exactly. It's privacy with accountability.
And accountability is the key word there. It's the big differentiator. Some other protocols are private by default, and they really struggle in regulated environments because of that. Zcash built in what they call selective transparency from day one.
Using this unique two-tiered address system, can you walk us through those two tiers again? Because this optionality, it feels critical to the whole institutional argument.
Absolutely. So tier 1 is the transparent address, or a T address. These work exactly like Bitcoin. Every transaction is public, visible on the ledger. Simple.
Okay.
Tier 2 is the shielded address, or a Z address. When money moves between two of these shielded addresses, the zk-SNARKs technology kicks in and fully encrypts all of that metadata.
So the world can see that a transaction happened.
But they know nothing else. Not who, not to whom, and not how much.
So Zcash isn't just a privacy coin. You could almost call it a flexibility coin.
That's a great way to put it.
Users decide, transaction by transaction, if they need the confidentiality of the shielded pool or the full public audit trail. And that choice, especially in 2025, seems incredibly powerful. A few years ago, there was this narrative that privacy coins were, too niche.
A bit of a relic, yeah.
Like a relic of an earlier, more libertarian phase of crypto. But the data from 2025 suggests the market demand for privacy is just skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Why is this happening now?
We're seeing a perfect storm. One of the reports called it a cocktail of technology, regulation, and market fear.
and the foundation of that cocktail.
It's the rise of intensifying financial surveillance. I mean, governments, banks, payment processors, they are all tracking our digital movements with increasing precision. For normal law-abiding people, this creates a need for a countermeasure, a way to protect against overreach.
And, of course, we can't talk about digital finance in 2025 without bringing up the elephant in the room, the CBDC factor.
Indeed. The global rollout of central bank digital currencies. It's raising some very deep concerns, not about the tech itself, but about the control structure.
If a central authority can see every single dollar you spend.
Every purchase you make,
Yeah.
that level of financial transparency fundamentally alters the balance of power. And so Zcash is being seen as this necessary digital alternative, a decentralized way to protect your personal financial data.
And it's not just the state actors, it's the private sector, too. With AI and big data, corporate data misuse is just rampant.
Financial data is a massive commodity. When all that information is packaged up and sold, privacy stops being some obscure technical feature.
It becomes a core human right, just a function in the digital economy.
Absolutely. And this leads us directly to the huge shift in institutional demand. Big corporations are finally realizing that transparent ledgers are, well, they're fundamentally incompatible with sensitive business operations.
Tell us more about this idea of a soundproof boardroom. Why does a major company need privacy on a blockchain?
Okay, imagine you're a publicly traded company. If you're planning a massive acquisition or changing your payroll, or even just paying your suppliers.
You can't broadcast.
You can't. Broadcasting those financial moves on a public chain instantly alerts your competitors, market makers, short sellers, everyone. You need confidentiality to execute your strategy. Zcash provides that.
But that creates a new problem, right? How do they get confidentiality and also satisfy auditors and regulators?
And this is where the view key comes in.
Okay, we need to be really clear on how this works.
This is the feature that makes Zcash so palatable to institutions. A user can generate and share a special view key. This key is not a spending key. It can't move funds. It only grants read-only access to a specific set of shielded transactions.
So the company keeps full privacy from the public, from their competitors, but they can hand this view key over to an authorized third party, an auditor, a compliance officer.
Precisely. That third party can then verify all the necessary details, confirm the transaction amount, check that funds didn't come from a sanctioned addressee without revealing that information to the entire world.
So it mitigates regulatory risk while maintaining strategic confidentiality.
That is the single primary reason our sources say that big institutional money is flowing into Zcash.
It makes the difference between Zcash and other privacy coins so stark. It's a tool for compliance, not a tool against it.
And that actually pivots us nicely to the concept of fungibility, because this is maybe the most crucial property of good money.
And it's something that's severely compromised in transparent crypto systems.
Severely.
So fungibility just means that one unit of a currency is interchangeable with any other unit. A dollar in my pocket is worth the same as a dollar in your pocket, regardless of its history.
Right.
Why is that broken in Bitcoin?
Because Bitcoin's history is public and permanent. If a specific Bitcoin was used, say, 5 years ago in some illegal transaction, that coin is forever traceable. And in the eyes of some institutions, it becomes tainted.
Tainted or toxic. And what happens when a coin is deemed toxic?
We've seen it happen. Centralized exchanges or institutional custodians, they'll just reject the funds. They'll freeze them. If their systems flagged a connection to a blacklisted wallet, your money is suddenly no good.
Which means one Bitcoin is literally worth less than another Bitcoin because of its history.
Which destroys the fundamental principle of currency.
And Zcash solves this cryptographically.
Exactly. Because once money enters that shielded pool, the history of those specific coins is completely obscured by the zk-SNARKs. It's like a cryptographic reset button.
So when ZC goes into the shielded pool and then comes out again,
it's mathematically indistinguishable from any other coin. And the simple critical outcome is this. One ZEC is always equal to one ZEC, regardless of its history.
It guarantees true fungibility. So the strategic market distinction becomes really clear. Bitcoin is the transparent store of value, the digital gold.
And Zcash is positioning itself as the necessary digital cash. Private, fungible. It's the hedge against the surveillance that's inherent in full transparency.
And the point isn't about enabling illicit activity.
No, not at all. In fact, most analysis shows that illicit actors are moving to traceable stablecoins for liquidity reasons. The point here is making sure that a completely legal, ethical transaction you make today doesn't suddenly get flagged or rejected years from now because of something that happened upstream that you had nothing to do with.
Okay, we have to address the elephant in the room with Zcash's history, though. For a long time, shielded transactions were, well, they were slow.
They were slow and computationally heavy, yeah. A lot of processing power.
So if this technology is really going to scale, it has to be practical for everyday use. What's changed? What are the big technological leaps?
That performance bottleneck was the single biggest barrier to adoption for years, but it's been largely eliminated through some pretty relentless development. The key breakthrough was an upgrade involving something called Halo 2.
Halo 2, what did that specifically fix?
Well, historically, these zero-knowledge proofs required this massive one-time setup ceremony. It was called the trusted setup, and it was complex and a bit of a security risk.
Yeah.
But more importantly, just executing a shielded transaction was slow. Halo 2 introduced two huge advancements. First, it got rid of the trusted setup entirely. But second, and this is the critical part for performance, it introduced recursive proof composition.
Recursive proof composition.
Yeah, think of it like a chain. Instead of needing to do a full, heavy proof calculation for every single transaction from scratch.
Which takes time and energy.
A lot of time. Halo 2 lets you compress the proof of a whole batch of transactions into a single tiny proof. It dramatically cuts down the computational load. It makes shielded transactions far faster, more efficient, and much more scalable.
So that immediately shifts Zcash from being this interesting theoretical concept to something that's actually practical for, enterprise-level scale.
And for mobile apps, exactly. We're now seeing developers pushing Zcash to become the default privacy layer for the whole Web3 ecosystem.
And the market is clearly reacting to this newfound maturity. The sources we looked at highlight several big structural shifts in 2025.
Huge signals, yeah.
Let's start with the supply shock. The November 2025 halving event.
Right. It's a standard feature in the code, just like Bitcoin. The halving slashed the rewards for miners. This immediately introduces scarcity, reduces inflation, and puts upward pressure on the price.
And it happened to coincide perfectly with all these tech improvements.
The perfect storm.
And we saw massive price volatility right after that. Our sources noted ZEC was trading around, $386 with a market cap of $5.8 billion. But it had hit highs approaching $744 during market rallies.
That's breakout potential. It shows that when fear and demand collide, capital rushes into the most secure hedge.
And it wasn't just big money. Retail interest was clear in court. Google searches for ZEC spiked over 63% during those rallies.
But the institutional signal is arguably the loudest one. The activity around Grayscale's ZEC ETF.
The ETF is a massive indicator. It tells you that traditional finance players are not just eyeing privacy, they're offering a regulated, easy-to-use investment vehicle for it.
Exactly. Institutions are starting to position Zcash not as just another speculative asset, but as financial insurance.
Insurance against the tracking risks of transparent blockchains.
It's becoming an essential portfolio hedge for any sophisticated investor who's worried about data sovereignty.
So given the tech maturity and the surging demand, what does the immediate future hold for Zcash and for zero-knowledge proofs in general?
The consensus among analysts is that Zcash is going to integrate much, much deeper into the wider crypto ecosystem. We're looking at it becoming the primary multi-chain privacy layer.
So allowing assets from other chains, like Ethereum, to be shielded temporarily using Zcash tech.
Exactly. Moving beyond just a currency to become an essential toolkit for the whole space. We expect it to become the backbone of private DeFi. Imagine conducting transactions, lending, borrowing, all without broadcasting your financial strategy to the world. And the applications of ZK proofs go beyond just finance. We're talking about identity protection, verifiable credentials, all across Web3.
The core thesis we've really uncovered in this deep dive seems clear. Zcash is optional, cryptographically proven privacy. It's not a niche feature anymore.
No, not at all.
It's a fundamental, non-negotiable requirement for building a truly free and open financial system in this digital age.
It provides verifiable, auditable transactions without sacrificing confidentiality. And that's all thanks to zk-SNARKs, Halo 2, and that crucial selective transparency model.
By doing all that, Zcash protects against surveillance, both state and corporate, while ensuring true fungibility. It solves the fundamental flaws that are just inherent in transparent chains like Bitcoin.
And it leaves you with a really important question. If the core promise of cryptocurrency is financial sovereignty, total control of your own money, then this begs the question for every investor and user today. Can any financial system that's built entirely on compulsory public transparency ever truly be considered free?